Loops in Java programming language are a feature that allows a series of statements and functions to be executed repeatedly while a condition evaluates to true. For example, if you want to show a message 50 times, then rather than typing the same code 50 times, you can use a loop. Hi guys, welcome back to Perfect eLearning channel. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more technical content. In today's video, you will learn about one of the important Java topics, that is loops in Java. So let's get started.
How are you all? I hope everybody is doing good, staying safe, right? So today we are going to discuss something. As you can see, I have opened online GDB. So we are not going to do Android much, but we are going to focus on Java a little more. And in that, we're going to discuss today the various loops in Java, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do is, of course, create a new project. And I'll choose the language Java. Great. Done. And let me go ahead and save this project as loops. Perfect. Let me run this. So great, running perfectly fine. And now let's get rid of this hello world. Great. So there are, a lot of loops in Java, and various loops we have seen already when we did, arrays, array list. So we saw how to iterate over an array, how to iterate over an array list. We saw the for loop, we saw the for each loop. So we know actually what they are, right? But to go into a little bit more detail of the loops, because that is very important. So we'll go into a little more detail and see how many loops are there, and what is the use case of the loops. Okay, so coming to the first ever thing, that is the use case of the loops, right? So they help you to actually execute a certain block of code until a specific condition is reached, right? That's the main use case, that is execute a certain block of code until a condition is reached, right? So this is what is loops. So they're very, very useful. Why are they useful? Because it's very tedious to write the same kind of code again and again. So it helps you prevent the redundant code. It helps you reduce the errors. It helps you in, of course, saving the time. And at the end, the code is very, very readable and very clear. That's the main thing, right? Okay. So the first ever loop that we're going to do in Java is the while loop, right? So what is a while loop and what is the syntax and all? Let's have a look. So it's very simple. Again, it says that you just go through the block of code until a specific condition is false, until the condition, so till the condition is true, you need to go keep on running the loop. So for example, I'll tell you what is the syntax first, right? So the syntax is very simple, which says while a certain condition is there, so till this condition is true, you go ahead and execute this block of code. That's it. Simple, right? So let me show you a quick example. So for example, I took a variable. Initially, I'm taking a variable. Usually, whenever we are looping through a variable, we either take the variable that name as count, or we take it as I. Okay, usually. Again, it's up to you. You can choose any name of your own choice. I'm just telling what happens usually. So I have defined the variable int I equal to 0. And now I'm going to give a condition in the while loop. And the condition is till the value of I is less than 10. Okay. Then do something. Do what? Print I. Okay. So let's go ahead. Print the value of I. That's it. Easy. So is it done? I mean, what do you think? I hope you said no, because as you can see, I'm not anywhere incrementing the value of I. So this condition will always be true. 0 is always less than 10. It's going to remain less than 10. And this loop will run infinitely. This is what we don't want, right? So one thing that we want to do here is increment the value of I. So either I can do I equal to I plus 1 one way, and the other way is simply I plus plus also increments the value of I by 1. Easy. So now let's go ahead and run this. Great. So I got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if I want from 1 to 10, so I can put I equal to 1 less than equal to 10 if I want to print 10 also. So now I get the numbers 1 to 10. Easy enough, right? Clear. And there is one more loop that I want to discuss now. So let me comment this while loop. Yeah, don't worry, we're going to practice a lot of examples. So coming to the other loop, that is do while loop. Now, what is a do while loop? So it's also very simple, and it actually isn't used much. We use while usually. Okay, so what is a do while loop? It's basically kind of a while loop only. So it says that, you know, once you have to execute the code first and then check the condition and then see if the condition is true, then repeat, else not. Okay, so for example, let me first tell you the syntax. So it says do, and a certain, you know, code block is there, and then so first time it's going to execute irrespective of the condition, but the second time onwards it's going to see the condition and only then it will execute, right? So for example, I will go ahead with the same example, and I equal to 0, and now instead of putting a while first, I put a do first, and in the do let me print this, right? And I will do this till the value of I is less than 10. So here it's going to perform the same way as, you know, my while loop performed. So again, I got 0 to 9. So it's just that the first time it's going to run anyhow, even if the condition is false, it's going to run for the first time. Okay. For example, I go ahead and put it as 11. So you see, 11 is printed because first time it's going to run, but then it checked the condition. Okay, it's not true. So, okay, I'm not going to go ahead and print here extra now, right? So this is what is a do while loop. Done. Okay, let me comment this out. And this was all about the while loop, right? Now the next thing that we are going to discuss is the for loop. I think that you already know because we have done in arrays. So still, you know, for loop is, you know, is mainly used whenever you actually know how many times you want to run through a certain block of code. Okay. For example, if it's very much clear that how many times you have to run, then usually you use for loop, right? So for example, I'll tell you the syntax, so it will be much more clearer. Syntax says for, so there are certain statements. So there is statement number 1, semicolon, statement number 2, semicolon, and statement number 3. Okay. And then I give a certain block of code, and that's it. Okay. So what is the statement 1, 2, and 3? Let's understand that. So statement 1 is always executed just for the first time. It is the initialization statement, like this one. I gave it I equal to 1 or I equal to 0, right? So this is my statement, initial statement. So that also I write inside the for loop. This is my initialization statement. Okay. So it's going to run only one time. Make sure that, right? When I talk about the next statement, it actually defines the condition for executing the code block, right? This condition that we used to give over here, this condition comes in the statement 2, right? And statement 3 is the increment and decrement condition. It is also executed every time after the code has been executed. So what happens? So this is the first statement, I equal to 0. Then it's going to check this condition, then go inside the loop, execute the block of code, and then go to the statement number 3. Okay. So it's going to execute every time after the block of code. Clear? Let me, give an example for more understanding. So I took I equal to 0. Okay, I is less than 10, I plus plus, right? So now if I go ahead and print this, right? Now let me run this out. So you see I got the values 0 to 9, right? So how it executed, initially this statement ran, I equal to 0. And then it checked, okay, 0 is less than 10, that's great. So it goes inside and runs the block of code. And then it goes to the statement 3, executes this, that is increments I by 1. And then it again checks the condition and runs the code and so on, right? So this is how the for loop execution works, right? Okay, let me give you a quick challenge now. So what you have to do is you need to use the for loop, okay? And you need to print, what I've done, I have printed all the numbers from 0 to 9, right? 0 to 10, so 0 to 9 basically, till 9. Now what you have to do is you have to print only even numbers between 0 to 10 and 10 included, okay? So the challenge is you need to print only even numbers, okay, between 0 to 10. So the answer, you already know what are even numbers. That is the numbers that are divisible by 2, okay? So those are even numbers. So pause the video, go ahead, give it a try. So, and try to do, it's very easy. I know you will be able to make it, okay? Great. So if you're able to make it, I'm very happy. If you are not, then also it's okay. Just, I'm going to show you the solution, how to do that. Okay. So I start a for loop and I initialize the value of I to 0. And I'm going to run till 10, I less than equal to 10, because as mentioned, we need to print 10 also. Just one thing is changing over here, and that is, now instead of incrementing I to 1, I'm incrementing I to 2, because I want to only print even numbers, right? So leaving 1, I'm going to get the answer as even numbers. So let's go ahead and print the value of I. So you see 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. We got all the even numbers over here. Easy enough, right? Okay. So there are various ways of doing it. You can actually, multiply also by 2 to print it. So for example, I increment only by 1 only, okay? And I go till 5, okay? And I print I multiply by 2. So now let's see. Again, I got the answer, right? Because initially I is 0, then 1, 2. So 2 into 2, 4, 3 into 2, 6, 4 into 2, 8, 5 into 2, 10. So you can go ahead and do like this also. And the earlier way also that I gave you, you can go ahead and print any way. Okay. Any other way also, if you are getting the correct answer, that's amazingly well done. Right? Great. So let me comment this off. Now let me also introduce you to the for each loop in detail. We although have used for each loop in our array list example already, right? So it's very easy. For example, when you have defined a certain type of an array, right, and you have to loop through the array, so you can simply go ahead and use the for each loop. So for example, let me first show you the syntax. So syntax is very simple. For, you need to first define the data type. For example, it's string, int, or whatever. Then give any variable, okay, whatever variable name you want to give. Then colon, and then you need to give the array name or whatever array list name, whatever you're printing, right? And then there is a certain code block. Now it's going to check for itself the size of the array and everything. It's going to check, it's going to increment itself. You don't have to worry about all that, right? So for example, I take an array of mobile phones companies. For example, I take Samsung, Nokia, Motorola, OnePlus. Okay. Now let me put a for each loop to it. So what I'm gonna do? So very simple, for, right? And I'm gonna put the data type, that is string, over here. Then I put the variable name, for example, and I go ahead in the mobile, that is my array name. And now let me simply print it out. Okay? This is what I wanna print. So let me run this. So I got this. Samsung, Nokia, Motorola, OnePlus. Easy enough? So for each, everything is perfectly clear? Right. Okay. Now let me give you another very easy challenge. Okay. So the challenge is, why not you, so now we are basically clear with all the three loops, right? So now we are going to just try with the various examples of the loops, right? So the first example I told you about the even numbers that you guys would have done already. Now go ahead and print the even numbers in reverse order. So for example, I want 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0. Okay, I want it in the reverse order. So pause the video, try it out quickly and come back and continue. So those who are able to do it, I mean, that's amazingly well. That's very easy. Okay, so this was our prime numbers, even numbers, right? So now, instead of, starting from 0, I'm going to start with 5 because I want to print 10 first. And I'm going to go till 0 now. And now, instead of I plus plus, I'm going to decrement the value of I, right? So first initialize the value of I to 5. So what's going to happen? 5 is greater than or equal to 0, yes. So it goes inside and check and prints you 5 into 2, that is 10. Then it decrements the value of I to 4. And then it checks, okay, 4 is greater than or equal to 0, great. Then it goes inside and print the value 8 and so on. So let me run that. Great, I got it in the reverse order. And similarly, you could have done using I equal to I plus 2 also. If you, let me write that out for you. So let me comment this. And I equal to 10. And here I is equal to I minus 2. And here I'm going to print I only, right? So again, you get the same answer, right? So this is what is, we printed even numbers in the reverse order. Easy one, right? Great. Now the other thing that I want you guys to do, another example for you guys. So one more challenge. So what you have to do, you have to print, the multiples of 3. So for example, you need to print the table of 3. Okay. So just give me all the values of the multiples. So starting with 3, 6, 9, 12, and so on. I guess I already gave the answer above. So using 2. So you just need to do it via 3. So why don't you go ahead and give it a try? So print on till 30. Okay. So again, it's very easy. You can actually increment the value of I by 3, or you can multiply the value of I by 3. So let me show you by both the methods. So I'm going to do that. So let's start with this one. Okay. So I start with 1 now because I want to start with 3. So I is less than equal to 10 and I plus plus, and I'm going to multiply I to 3. Okay. Great. I got the answer. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. So now any type of table you can actually print using the for loops, right? Easy enough? Great. Wonderful. So these were very easy challenges. So let me give you a little tougher one, okay? And that is, you need to print triangular numbers. Now, what are triangular numbers? So, I'll tell you what they are. Let's go to Google. Triangular numbers. Right. So, very simple what they are. So, the first number is 1. So then you have to increment the 2 to it, okay? So the second number is 3. Then you have to increment 3 to it, so the third number becomes 6. Then increment 4 to it, so that it becomes 10. Then increment 5, and then increment 6. Clear? So easy enough. So you start with 0. If you're starting with 0, then you need to increment 1. So the first number becomes 1. Then you need to increment 2. That is add 2. So it becomes 3. Then you need to add 3 so that it becomes 6. Then add 4, it becomes 10. Then add 5 to 15 and then 21. Okay, why don't you go ahead and print, first 6 or first 10, whatever. Right? Now you're clear what are triangular numbers. Go ahead and try this challenge out. I'm sure you're going to do that. So pause the video and try it out. Okay. So those who are able to do, I'm very, very proud of you. So let's see how to do that. Okay. So in this, we're actually going to be needing 2 variables, right? So for example, the first variable is our counter variable, which starts with 0. And then there is one more variable, num, for example, which again, okay. And now I'm gonna put the count till 10. For example, I'm printing 10 numbers, right? Right. So I have to print num plus count, right? So initially the value of num is 0. So and the value of count is 0. So 0 plus 0 gives me 0. So now, then I have to increment the value of count. So when I increment the value of count becomes 1, okay? And the value that's gonna be printed is num plus 1, that is 1, okay? 0 plus 1. The next thing is count becomes 2 now, right? Okay, and I have to save the value of num as well, right? I have incremented the value of count now, so it's gonna run till 10, and I want to actually keep the value of num also increasing. So let me do this. So num is equal to num plus count, and then I just print num, right? So for example, initially the value of num is 0 and the value of count is also 0. So it's gonna check 0 less than 10. Yes, count is just maintaining the count of 10 numbers. Num is the thing that we are printing, right? So num, initially I incremented num by 0, so I get the answer 0. Then the value of count increases, so increment the num by 1, so the value 1. Then increment the value 1 by 2, so 3. Value 3 by 4, so, and so on, right? So let me run that. So you see, I got the triangular numbers, right? So what's incremented by 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and so on. So this is what is triangular numbers. So if you're able to do that yourself, that's amazingly well. And if not, then it's okay. I mean, go ahead, practice a lot. There are a lot of examples out there, right? So good luck, guys. I really hope that for loop, for each loop, and while loop, they all are very clear to you. And I'm not going into much detail of for and for each because we have already done in the array and array list section. We know how to, iterate the whole array, iterate the whole array list, right? So good luck. I'm going to see you soon in the next class with something more exciting in Java and Android. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.